Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel, and the content of today's video is going to be on a truly absurd and ridiculous topic, but it's what the community's talking about right now, and I've got some stuff to say on this. It's on this idea of there being a buyback of XRP by the United States government. So there are people out there that think this makes sense. There are people that think that the government will do this because XRP is going to be so crucial to the financial system. They think that as a result of that, just like the government, close to 100 years ago, required people to turn in their gold in the United States, which is a real thing that happened. Just like that happened, that it's going to be demanded that you hand over your XRP. And since that's a real thing that might happen, we got to have a fair price set. So we're gonna tackle some stuff here because, like, the idea of being forced to turn over your XRP because of the gold situation almost 100 years ago, like, these are so unrelated. I'm going to be highlighting that. We'll get to the rationale. That's more so going to be a later part of the video. That's to think that those two are similar is to just refuse to use logic and reason, basically. But then if you're gonna subscribe to that, then the next part of this is you gotta come up with a fair price for the XRP. And the numbers that I keep seeing bandied about are $37,000, $50,000 per XRP. This is outrageous and ridiculous. Now, look, I'll be clear here at the outset. This is not an attack on anyone, period. It's certainly not an attack on anybody that believes this stuff. I just disagree with you. It's not an attack on you. It doesn't mean that I think you're a terrible person. It's not an attack on the people that got this whole movement going within the XRP community. It's fine. And I don't want anyone to be silenced because I think that this is a truly bad idea. I think it does not make sense, but that doesn't mean that I'm attacking anybody. I'm sharing what I think about the actual idea. I don't care who espouses it. I think it's a train wreck of an idea. I don't think it's ever going to happen. It makes no sense whatsoever. But if you believe it, it doesn't mean that I think you're bad. It doesn't mean that I think low stuff of you. I just think you're wrong. But when it comes to bad ideas, I just like to let ideas combat one another just in an arena effectively. And when it comes to bad ideas, sunlight is the best disinfectant for them. So I don't want ideas that are bad to be silenced. I want people that are shouting the bad stuff to come out into the open. People are going to come to their own reasonable conclusions. And maybe some people are going to believe the crazy bad stuff. That's what I think from my perspective anyway. And I do think the ideas are that nonsensical. But I'm not afraid certainly not afraid to have people come out and say their minds, because I think most people are not going to think that this is remotely reasonable. And I get the sense in the community, most people do not think it's remotely reasonable. And so I've got comments from two former Ripple employees, actually, on this topic. And both of them are notably skeptical. One of them really shreds this idea. And this idea of XRP being forced out of the hands of owners, just like what happened with gold, it's a ridiculous comparison. So I'm going to break down a big chunk of this. I'm sure there'll be more to say in the coming days and weeks, but let's just at least get the ball, or the wheel rolling. I don't know, my brain, it's kind of late. I'm kind of tired here, but I'm going to get through this one. Before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And I thought I'd really kick this off by sharing a tweet from my fellow XRP YouTuber, King Solomon, who wrote something, and it resonated with me. It reads as follows. I'll censor it, but he says, "Nobody is going to hand you a effing $30,000 XRP. There is no buyback. There are those incentivized to spread idiocy, and there is the government who isn't incentivized to make you rich. Hard work and due diligence as it's always been, and now more than ever." Now, somebody responded to that, a community member named Johnster, and wrote, "The buyback proposal is for setting precedent in case there is confiscation. Nobody on the buyback committee actually believes the government will buy it back." Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if that's true about the people on this secret committee. I don't know if it's true that they think it will or won't happen. But I can tell you this, as a result of the way that this has been articulated by all sorts of people, there are people throughout the community, and I still think this is a pretty fringe idea, but there really are people, I encounter them regularly, who actually believe that this is something that could happen. They think it's within the realm of possibility. And they actually believe this. And again, fringe idea, But whether that's kind of what I was getting at the outset of the video, though. So like, even if this is accurate, it's like you're saying that XRP is going to be pried out of the hands of XRP holders like gold. We'll get into why that's nonsense. I'll make more on like in the later part of the video is when I'm going to get into like why this is all ridiculous. I need to set up a few things first. I'm doing this in an order for a reason. But in terms of like tearing down the bad idea, it's not that hard to do, honestly. It's like, I think there are some people that even on the surface are like, yeah, I mean, crazy stuff happens. Well, so like even the people that think maybe it's something that's not sounding crazy, I think if you just apply some like basic logical processes, like I think you're gonna just like use common sense, like think through it, think about what this might look like. The whole concept falls apart very quickly. And so there was former Ripple employee Bob Way, happens to be one of Ripple's first employees, actually. I've never talked to him, but he always just comes across as like a truly really nice guy, and he's always happy to devote his time to answer all sorts of questions from people within the XRP community. And I've always appreciated that. I've been more of a spectator. I've never reached out to him or anything, and he probably doesn't even know who I am, or maybe, but either way, that's not the point. But he came across this concept. He came across this concept, and he had some things to say about it, and his gut reaction, I think it was pretty much right on the mark. And so there was this thread in which he was talking about some other stuff outside the scope of the video, so I'm not going to go to it. But then he made a segue in which he started talking about the XRP buyback. And that part of his thread reads as follows. Which brings me, and this is Bob Way now, which brings me to a project I know nothing about. It literally just popped into my Twitter feed this morning. And let me pause. This is December 31st, by the way. So this is just several days ago, just happened. And then he says, so I absolutely don't want to disparage the project. This is going to come, we're going to circle back around this. He's going out of his way to say he has no intent to disparage the project, but he has some concerns, let's say, and some questions, which is perfectly reasonable. And then he says, but I noticed a statement I thought curious. In its executive summary, it said the following, quote, as participating token holders tender their XRP tokens into the liquidating trust, they shall receive a NFT receipt to evidence their tender. At the closing, the consideration will be distributed to each participating token holder in accordance with the NFT receipt held, end quote. So, folks, I'm going to hold reservation on whatever's being put together by this committee here, which apparently is being run by Jimmy Valley of Valhil Capital. I'm going to rehold opinion until, or if I ever see anything on that topic. I want to see a final piece of work in which this is the proposal. I want to see the final thing. I've not yet seen a final thing. I've seen a lot of talk. I've seen various things written here and there. I haven't seen a final proposal of this or that. So I'm going to hold reservation on that, because I don't need to have an opinion on that to have the opinion that the idea of an XRP buyback by the United States government, especially if it's got an outrageous price value of like $30,000 to $50,000, that's absurd. I don't need additional specifics to know that that's not happening. And it's unreal, because look, and another reason I say that is whatever the particulars are of a proposed way in which this, like the mechanics in terms of how this one will unfold, I don't care what the mechanics are, because that's separate from whether or not it would make sense to set something in motion to do that. So I don't care what the specifics are. You'd have to get me over the hump of this makes sense in order for me to be like, okay, now let's talk mechanics of how we do it. So that's why I'm saying whatever's in this proposal, maybe I see it one day if it's finished, maybe I never do. I'm saying that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter for what I'm getting at in this video anyway. But what they're saying is, it looks like anyway, and this is why Bob was concerned, it looks like they're saying, hand over your XRP to us, you get this NFT, which is a receipt saying you handed your XRP over to us. Now that makes my ears perk up. And so I'm holding reservation to see if that's a final proposal. I don't know if that means Valhil Capital gets to hold your XRP or something like this. I literally don't know. I mean that in the literal sense. I literally do not know. But it caught his attention for a reason, just like it's probably catching yours. Isn't that a concern? Don't we need a whole lot more information before something like that would even sound reasonable? So I don't know if that's something that's going to be in a final version of any proposal or not. I literally don't know. And then Bob says, when I give someone money and they give me a receipt, that is commonly called making a purchase. A purchase is a settled transaction. The seller isn't required to give the buyer a refund later if the buyer isn't happy with the purchase. So pause. And I was thinking the same thing. So if you hand over your XRP and it's a receipt, and this is supposed to be part of like how you, in theory, I guess, how XRP might be distributed if there's a government buyback, and he takes these backsies, can you get your XRP back, or once you hand it over, is that it? That's a perfectly reasonable question. Nothing disparaging going on here. Bob Way's just like, okay, but what if? And then Bob says, please look very closely at any project where the terminology being used could be interpreted as a purchase. Ask yourself, what exactly am I buying? Do I really want that thing? Is anyone making promises about the future in regards to this digital good that I am purchasing? I am not the XRP ledger police, nor am I the morality police. But always be skeptical even of me. Non-reputable characters are out there and magic is real, meaning they can fool you right in front of your face while you are watching intently, trying not to be fooled. So look, folks, when he said that there are non-reputable characters out there, that's right after saying be skeptical of him even. So I don't think he was talking about Jimmy Valley or Valhil Capital. I don't get the sense that was the case, unless he wants to come out and say that's what he meant. If you just read it's on your screen right now. It looks like, here's a thing, I have concerns, also just be skeptical of people, even me. Well, yeah, there's nothing disparaging there whatsoever. You should, I've said it so many times on my channel. My default position is that of a skeptic, okay? So of course be skeptical of everything everywhere all the time. That's a pretty reasonable starting point anyway. There are bad actors out there. It doesn't mean that Jimmy Valley or Valhil Capital, and I'm not saying they're bad actors. I literally have no idea. I know very little about them. That's not the point. That's why, again, and that's why I started out, part of why I said that, what I said at the outset of the video, this is not an attack on them. I don't even know the specifics of what it is in terms of what their process would be. I'm saying you'd have to get me over the hump of this makes sense before I get to the part where now let's design a whole process in case this unfolds. Like, you haven't gotten me over the hump where I'm like, yeah, let's design a thing. So it's not against them. I just don't think that the concept makes sense. I think the idea is bad. And that's not an attack on them. I haven't seen anything from anyone that is compelling on the idea of the government's going to take people's XRP and demand it. And so then there was a community member, Yasin Mubarak, who was wondering, who is it that Bob Way was talking about? He said, I wonder where this quote is from. And he was referencing that part when they were talking about the NFT receipt if you hand over your XRP. And then Bob Way responded and he said, that was from some random executive summary in my feed talking about a buyback of XRP. Can anyone clue me in? I just don't see why anyone would want to buy back all XRP. Doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't you just go to GitHub, grab everything, and start over? Ding, ding, ding. Bob Way hitting the nail on the head right here. Why would anyone want to buy all of XRP? Especially if it's at an inflated price. Why would anyone want to do that? It doesn't make sense. And so then we get to this. And this is from Jimmy Valley of Valhil Capital. He was not happy with what Bob Way had to say. Now, I do want to be clear that I am not clear if there were additional things Bob Way stated that I have not yet seen. From what I personally have seen from Bob Way, it seemed innocuous. He went out of his way to say, I'm not trying to be disparaging towards the project. And he didn't say anything disparaging, that I saw anyway. So if there is stuff where he did anything inappropriate, I sure as hell haven't seen it. It would just be surprising because he just seems like such a nice dude and pretty straightforward. But anyway, Jimmy Valley was not happy with what Bob Way said, which is why, again, I'm saying I very well may have missed some information, which is what's being referenced, or maybe it's something other than what I covered. I just wanted to be open, honest, transparent. That could be the case. But again, Jimmy Valley not very happy. So he wrote this response. It looks like it was written in MS Word and took a screen grab of it. The whole thing's on your screen if you want to read the whole thing. I'm going to read select parts, but I wanted to give you the opportunity if you so choose to read the whole thing. And so here you go. Statement from Jimmy Valley, MD, Valhil Capital, and he put Bob Way's tag up there on Twitter. So this is all about it. It has come to our attention that Mr. Bob Way is on Twitter publicly disparaging Valhil Capital, our principles, and our efforts to work together with other members of the XRP community to protect our interests with respect to our holdings of XRP. We are deeply offended and saddened that Mr. Way, who we do not know and have never met, would publicly attack us in this manner. We hope that Mr. Way's expressed opinions have not actually damaged our reputation and efforts in the marketplace, a reputation that has taken years to build. And then I'm going to jump down a little bit, and he said, Valhil Capital has engaged in what has become known as the XRP buyback process since the summer of 2021. There have been significant hours of work invested into that process for which we have not received any compensation. Mr. Wei's comments about our process are cavalier and without any knowledge of Valhil Capital's activities or the wonderful efforts being undertaken by the currently 46 members of the confidential committee. I gotta pause right there. Look, if you're a developer building on top of the XRP ledger, like, let's just use Ripple, because they're the most well-known developer, I think it's safe to say, building on top of the XRP ledger. They have confidential business happenings, some of it having to do with XRP, and they have their own interests. No problem with that being behind closed doors. That's a private company. But here, there's a confidential committee full of 46 members as reported here. And they're undertaking goals that are supposed to be for the XRP community at large, and they're keeping that secret. That makes no damn sense to me. Every other effort having to do with XRP and the XRP ledger that is for the community at large that I've ever seen in my 5+ years in the community has been open. This is the only one that is not open, and I don't understand. Like, why not just open up the conversation literally to everyone? Like, why would you want any portion of the conversation behind closed doors if it's truly for the community itself? If there's a legit reason, tell me what it is. I can't imagine what that would be here. So that like, to me, I just don't get it. If I ever do anything specifically, if I start a project having anything to do with the XRP ledger, unless it's for a private business for myself, then it's going to be in the public. Obviously, it just doesn't make sense. I don't get that. And then he says here, we are acutely aware that many people believe that the XRP buyback process is without merit and or that the associated efforts are in vain. We understand people disagree with us, and we have no issue with people expressing their disagreement. However, to state or imply that we are acting in a fraudulent or criminal manner is crossing a line. We would never do this to Mr. Wei or any other person. Mr. Wei should not only retract his statements, but he should publicly apologize for his false accusations. Well, look, again, I may very well, like I said, be missing some information where Bob Wei went too far, in which case, fine. I searched Twitter and I didn't see it. I was trying to find it for this video, couldn't find it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And also, to be clear here, for like the 13th time here, this is not an attack on Jimmy Valley, who may very well be an upstanding, honest dude, but I am challenging the idea here. I'm challenging his idea, yes, and anyone else that holds it. But it's just the idea. But he challenged my idea back. I'm not offended by it. And so he shouldn't be offended by me challenging this. No one should be offended by me challenging this idea, even if they dearly hold it. Because, like, in what way would that make sense? Just like me saying, like, if you tell me, that's ridiculous, Moon Family Sedan, of course there's going to be a buyback. You're saying there's not going to be a buyback. I'm going to get offended? Of course, I'm not going to get offended. So I'm just hoping that anybody on the other side is going to take it with, like, take it in stride the same way that I am here. You can tell me I'm wrong all the time. I don't care if people tell me I'm wrong, as long as people are being respectful and, not outright rude about it. So I have no indication whatsoever that anything is fraudulent about this. I'm just saying that I don't understand why you'd want to have a confidential committee for what is a global open community. I'm just saying that doesn't make sense. I don't think it's fraudulent. I think it's weird. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, shouldn't there, if you want to have, like, even if the meetings are just sitting there and you don't live stream them, wouldn't you at least want to share what's happening in some way with the community at large? Now, Bob Wei, he did end up apologizing. So again, I don't know if it's because other stuff happened that I just didn't come, like, I couldn't find it on Twitter, or if he's just trying to be super duper polite to squash this, that you don't have beef going forward. I don't know. But I wanted to share with you that former Ripple employee Matt Hamilton, I want to share with you what he had to say, because he responded in this thread where Bob Wei was apologizing. And Matt Hamilton had the following to say, and it does get to this idea of, an outrageous price for XRP and comparing it to the United States, demanding gold be given to them. So check this out. Here's what Matt Hamilton had to say. Indeed, it makes no sense to me either. If point is to defend against a government that is demanding to take your XRP, then why would that government pay you many orders of magnitude over market price for it? It's like hoping the burglar washes your dishes whilst he still steals your TV. If this agreement includes some agreed price for XRP, then there are two scenarios. Number one, the price of XRP is below that specified price. So why would government pay it rather than just buy it on open market? And number two, the price of XRP is above a specified price and you are being shortchanged. So pause to think about that. So there's this, let's say there's this whole thing implemented and Valhil Capital comes up with it and there's an actual agreement with the United States federal government and there's an agreed upon price here. Let's just say all of that makes sense and it's in place. Why? But why would the government do it? Wouldn't you be wondering? Because the government, rather than paying $37,000 or $50,000, make up your crazy pie in the sky price, rather than pay you $50,000 for a single XRP, why wouldn't they go to the open market and buy it for the current market rate there? Why? And mind you, almost all transactions, I don't know if it's like 90 or 95%, almost all transactions occur outside the United States. So almost all of this is happening by players that are outside of the United States. There's no short, like they don't need to buy XRP from United States citizens to make this happen. And then on the flip side, okay, so you can already see right there why this whole thing falls apart, right? Because why would the government be like, here's 50 grand, even though I could pay, what's the market price today, like 35 cents? Here's $50,000 instead of 35 cents. So that's already completely absurd. So most people already recognize right there, this is a failed idea. But take the flip side of that. Let's say there was a set price and it's actually hit. So it's now above that price, the agreed upon price. Because again, apparently that's part of what this proposal is all about. Making sure that there's an agreed upon price. Well, if the open market price, the global price of XRP is above that, then why would you want the government of the United States to give you less money for your XRP than the global price of XRP? It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any damn sense. And then Matt Hamilton rips it to shreds further. He shares the following. That is even assuming you could get some government entity to agree and sign the agreement, let alone honor it. When I bring up this mythical buyback price that people keep mentioning, $35,000 or $50,000, then people start to backpedal and say the proposal has no price element. And when I ask, so what does it have? They go silent. Supposedly, this is a secret cabal that has the rest of the XRP holders' best interests at heart, but won't even say what is in the proposal. Again, folks, going back to the document written by Jimmy Valli, I think this is what he's talking about. This is the secret cabal, that's what Matt Hamilton called it. 46 members in the confidential committee. He wrote confidential committee in all caps there. I don't get it. It's for the global community, for everybody, not specific interests of just a few people. I don't get it. And so then, as far as this price too, like even if that happens, let's just play with this terrible idea even further here, because I do think the idea is that bad. I really do. And again, I don't say it to be disrespectful. I say that because that's what I believe. Like, I'm not going to shut up and not say my opinion about it. Like, it's a bad, terrible idea. It's irrational. It's illogical. It makes no sense. So, doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that the people that believe in it are bad. It does not mean that. They can think I'm wrong. That's fine. But I really think the idea is that bad. I think it's absolute trash. And but imagine, like, say that this price was agreed upon, but not just agreed upon. Say the government of the United States started to pay it out. I can only imagine what the total amount would be with the number of XRP holders in the United States wanting, claiming their free money effectively, it'd be an outrageous figure. But as a United States citizen, like I think the citizens of the United States at large would be outraged that there's this free golden parachute for these people who happen to be holding this thing called XRP because reasons, and your United States government's going to pay way over market price because reasons. Don't you think that it would destroy politicians' careers, whoever's in charge of any part of government at that time? Like, this is never going to happen, folks. This is completely absurd. And then now on this idea of it being like getting gold from United States citizens like back in the day. Check out what Matt Hamilton had to say here. Some people try to make comparisons to the gold buyback in the past, but that was bought back to back United States liquidity when on the gold standard. The United States isn't on the XRP standard for United States dollars. So that makes no sense. Again, the United States government could just create their own cryptocurrency. So folks, again, the XRP is not going to be backed by the the United States dollar is not going to be backed by XRP. Even the people that think the buyback makes sense aren't saying that. Not that I've seen anyway. Excuse me, folks. Sorry, I'm still getting over my sickness here. So, I don't know how you could even compare the two. You know, there was a gold buyback, and so now this thing that's completely unrelated and in a completely different position, that's going to be taken too because reasons? Like the government's going to demand that? Well, why not anything else? Why aren't they going to demand your sneaker collection or your Beanie Babies or your baseball card collection? What the hell is it? I mean, you're talking about a cryptocurrency, which almost no human on the entire planet has ever held, even heard about, which is, I mean, it's one of the most liquid cryptos on the planet, and I'm really happy to see the progress that's occurred. It's not very liquid globally, like in the scheme of things, it's not. There's almost no money in crypto on the whole. It's not just about XRP. There's almost no money even in it, and it's extremely volatile. What the hell? Like, why would the government focus specifically? There's over 20,000 cryptocurrencies. Why is the government suddenly going to focus just on this one cryptocurrency? Are they going to buy back all other cryptocurrencies? Or just this one here, and why? What are the reasons? Do you see how quickly this falls apart? I don't understand how anybody could think that this is remotely reasonable. It just doesn't make sense. The government isn't going to do that. And these are the things that I see people in the community discussing. And so I don't know if there ever is a final proposal from Jimmy Valhil and Valhil Capital. Okay, great. Let's see. Maybe it's way different than this. What I'm telling you is that as a result of the things discussed by him and some others, what I see community members talking about is everything that I'm covering in this video. These things that I think sound absolutely wacky, that's what people are talking about. And some people actually think it makes sense, which is why we need to be able to share ideas about this and talk about complex ideas. Because there's a diversity and a sort of divisiveness with certain portions of the community. And again, I still think it's pretty clear, like it's a pretty fringe element of the community that thinks any of this stuff makes sense. It's definitely not the majority, not even close. But it's still causing a little bit of friction here, which is why, again, I'm going out of my way to challenge the idea, which I think is a terrible idea, and not the people. The people, honestly, everyone I've seen talk, I haven't seen bad people. I don't see Jimmy Valhil acting like some sort of jerk. I don't see anybody being a bad person or treating people poorly. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a bad idea. That's it. And then there was also this. Some people, I've seen people responded to me like this on Twitter too, the same thing. Somebody responded to Matt Hamilton and was like, hey, referencing the buyback, says, crazier things have happened, Matt. And Matt Hamilton had the perfect response for this, and I had to share this with you. Crazier things have happened, so you never know. You may get your $50,000 per XRP from the federal government, because crazier things have happened. Well, Matt Hamilton responded with this. This is on the scale of me trying to sell you on the idea of buying an insurance policy against Mars colliding with Earth. Could it happen? Well, crazier things have happened, but no. It's not going to happen. That was so good. I actually shared that tweet with people that were saying similar things to me. I just, I shared that exact tweet with them because never say never. Crazier things could happen. Come on, guys. I got to respectfully disagree there. And again, nothing, like even to the fringe community members that really believe this stuff, I'm sure some of you are out there literally listening to this right now. I don't think you're bad or stupid or whatever. None of this. I don't think any of these negative things about you. I just think you have a really bad idea. And you can think that my perspective here is bad, and that's fine. I'm not offended if you think that. So you better not be offended that I think that about your opinion. I think it's a trash opinion, but you're super thumbs up, all right? I'm just saying here. And then there was also an XRP community member who responded to Matt Hamilton. This guy's name is Robbo, and I really like what he wrote here, and this is a good way to wrap up the video. Robbo said, "Isn't the market itself what brings value to XRP? This is why they would not buy it back or create new system Wait, hold on, let me restart that. Isn't the market itself what brings value to XRP? This is why they would not buy it back or create a new system. What value would it have if one entity held all the XRP on the new system? Buyback just doesn't make sense. Exactly. And this is another thing that I've seen people talk about. That you got to try and buy back all the XRP because it wasn't meant for the retail holder, which is another garbage idea. No, it was literally meant as a replacement for Bitcoin or just another alternative to Bitcoin. Just look at the developers of XRP and the XRP ledger. They're just trying to make a better version of Bitcoin, so it was for the everyday person. But if just one entity or just the government had it, like, what would that even do? Because the value of XRP comes from the community and the developers and the entrepreneurs building on top of the ledger. It doesn't just naturally have this price associated with it. It's developed over the span of a decade. And so if people no longer had access to that and it was just for, the governments or the quote unquote shadowy elite, I've seen people say crap like that too, then what's its true value? Then it wouldn't be valuable. It's like none of this makes any damn sense. Like none of this makes sense. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I've got I put out a poll where it was on this topic. I'm going to put out another poll on this topic probably tomorrow, and there will be more to say here. But my gosh, I wish this topic would just go away, kind of, because it is that ridiculous. Like the idea, it really is that bad of an idea. Like there are some ideas that are so bad where I'm just like, I don't even think it's reasonable to hold that. Like there are ideas about XRP that I disagree with that I'm like, it's reasonable that you hold that opinion, even though it's different than mine. For something as Looney Tunes as this, and that is how I look at it, like I don't think it's reasonable to hold that opinion. I do think it's that out there. Just like as Matt Hamilton said, hey, let me sell you some insurance in case Mars, collides with the Earth. Well, that's Looney Tunes too. It's in the same category to him, and I happen to agree. And I know most of you do too, but it's still interesting to talk about this stuff. All right, I'll stop yapping. Let me know what you think. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.